let me ask you this as a policy type driven question, not policy, but are you concerned, not just for Aidan, but for anybody, that people now have the idea that if you do anything that makes them uncomfortable, that you're going to be charged, someone's going to go and file a police complaint and say you're intimidating me.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer. You're a lawyer, right? Mark Bederow was on Justice Serve TV. He said something, I feel intimidated, and they march themselves down to the police station who want to go like, oh, hands off. But then they file their complaint.
It's funny you say that, because what part of the thought that I always had initially in thinking how absurd the Massachusetts statute is in playing out these hypothetical situations, it occurred to me, and again, this may be for future litigation, because these arguments really need to be made. By definition of the statute, I mean, people like yourselves or myself, as a part-time legal commentator, I mean, you could appear on a show like this, or you could appear on NBC News as a legal commentator and analyze a witness's testimony and say, that witness is not credible. This witness appears to me to be lying based upon this. And that witness who's still on the stand sees that interview and says, oh my God, I'm upset. I'm afraid to testify now because this lawyer thinks I'm a liar and my feelings are hurt and I'm not going to testify anymore. I mean, you'd think that this could only happen in, Stalin's Soviet Union, perhaps. But, in Massachusetts, I guess theoretically, if you wanted to carry this through to its absurd conclusion, by the letter of the statute, I mean, I don't think even in Norfolk County they would do this, but by the literal definition of this, maybe, who knows? Maybe
who knows? But I think it depends on who you are.
Yeah, you say that a lot, yeah.
We would be prime candidates for them to do it,
right?
Sure. But by the letter of the statute, it would appear, as long as you have a prosecutor or a police officer who's willing to say, well, your intent must have been to cause them not to testify, their feelings are hurt, they're a witness, so we're gonna charge you. I mean, again, and there's a record of this. I mean, rubber ducks. They were charging people with crimes for throwing rubber ducks on the ground, saying, free Karen Reed, or Colin did it, which again is a protected opinion. Whether you agree with it or not, it's still America. Even in Canton, Massachusetts, I think it's still America. You still have a right to speak, but maybe not. And I think your example is an interesting one, because I've literally thought about that in the past, that they could come after lawyers for expressing professional opinions in public commentary because somebody got upset that you're being mean because you think I'm lying.
That's what I'm concerned about. That is going to start limiting that, and that's why I wanted to address it, because I know you had to have thought about this. Yeah, obviously. And then in terms of even other people, I mean, so if you're high profile, even if you're just a normal person but high profile, because we know the standard for a public figure these days is not very much. I mean, anybody that's a tweeter, I think, becomes a public person, right, or an exer or a poster, whatever you want to call it. Does this have to be addressed nationally, federally, or does it have to be addressed state by state?
I mean, I hate to say generally. I mean, we live in a federalist society. The idea that we should have, the federal government making rules that, I mean, other than, what rights are afforded to you under the Constitution, clearly. But I'd like to think that in a civilized, normal society, that we could trust 50 states to actually come up with laws that are sensible and reasonable about what is and what is not witness intimidation. And I think most states do.
Exactly.
So I don't think it needs to be federal. I think Massachusetts needs to wake up and smell the coffee and see what's going on and recognize that it has become, and I hate to say this because I'm from there and, I like to go there frequently. I still have family there. They have the right sports teams, as we know, all of that. But I mean, let's just call it what it is. The place has become a national laughingstock with what's gone on in Karen's case and to some extent in Aidan's case as well. I mean, it is just constantly embarrassing itself with this ticky-tack Mickey Mouse stuff.
Yeah, I think we've made that point, Jersey, New York, California, they've all done it right. So it is purely a Massachusetts issue. So my question then is, have they not come up against this in the past, other counties, other law enforcement agencies where they've looked at the law as it stands now? Oh, I'm sorry, your feelings are hurt. That sounds like a case to me. Or is this little Karen Reed, Aidan Kearney situation a microcosm and it's just never come up before, so they haven't addressed it before?
I mean, I think it's probably come up in just, people get prosecuted for all kinds of things, but certainly these current cases that have been going on the last few years, Karen, Aidan, perhaps some other ones, which all seem to be, for the most part, based in one county, I think is drawing incredible attention to it. And, I do know that there are some politicians in Massachusetts who have started the process of attempting to amend the statute, but that's a hell of a task and not easy, and it gets into all kinds of politics. But I think certainly what's going on in this one particular county, everyone sees it, and it's just become a complete joke throughout.
With other cases too. I mean, we have the adjacent county with the Birchmore case, but it's still with Michael Morrissey involved. We have. I was in New Jersey today, and everyone I was with knew about the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case and thought it was just terrible. So you're right. I think it becomes a laughing stock. Now, in New Jersey, we have an interesting thing. We have a constitution that gives the Attorney General to be the chief law enforcement officer of the state. So with a swipe of a pen, they can say, this is the policy that we all have to follow. Every as you know, every police department, every prosecutor's office, and you're able to remedy something pretty quickly. Massachusetts, though, you have an attorney general, and I know that you don't want to go too far into this because this may eventually get involved. They passed on Aidan's case, but how do you get relief from somebody higher if it's not the courts? How can you get, like, the attorney general to turn around and say, hey, wait a second, everybody, stop. This is not what our statute is for. I mean, if we don't have that overreaching constitutional ability that New Jersey has.
They don't, but I mean, this is something that, you take this through to its logical, absurd conclusion. And this was something that we addressed in court last week, at least as it relates to what we call the 2024 case with, the witness who's suing everyone. And that is this, the Norfolk DA's office recused itself in any matter involving Aidan a couple of years ago, which is the correct thing. I mean, he's obviously called them corrupt to their core and whatnot. They're not a good candidate. They bring in, special prosecutor after special prosecutor. One of them has to get thrown off because he made himself a witness. One of them has to recuse himself because he's being sued fairly or unfairly. And in this case, I would suggest unfairly. Another one who saw that the motion was filed and the next day tried to get relieved, which I don't blame him. But what are we left with? So we're left with no prosecutor. And, the judge, understandably from his perspective, says, well, the DA has 30 days to assign someone. And we have to stand up and say, wait a minute, judge, she's suing the DA as well. And they now, the entity of DA's office now has a conflict, because how can they take taxpayer money and hire someone? Is that to help themselves, to get House counsel for the DA's office to, get out of this lawsuit? Or is it going to be somebody who you're going to hand the keys to the car over and say, do what you want, even if it embarrasses us? I mean, they're just not the right person. So naturally, you would say, well, how about the attorney general? And then you realize, if you've read the motion that we've already filed, over the course of several months, Michael Morrissey asked the attorney general 3, 4, 5 times to get involved and do something. And they very politely said, we're not touching this. Okay. Nobody wants this. So that's why I said the case is basically stateless. Who's even equipped to assign someone, assuming anybody's even willing to take this? So I don't know what the answer is. All I know is, I think in a couple of weeks, it's going to be readily obvious that they're not going to have prosecutors available for the 2023 case, the 2024 case, and any open investigations that they may be conducting right now.